10 things you didn't know about everyday objects.
Number 10. Hole in pen lids. Ingenuity often stems from necessity. When there is a need, people usually find a way. Did you know that the hole at the end of a pen cap is there for a reason? Did you even notice there was a hole at the end of a pen cap? Blowing and sucking air or playing it like a tiny instrument is not its official purpose. It actually serves two other purposes. First, it's used to regulate air pressure, preventing pressure buildup when it's closed. But the more interesting and ingenious reason is to prevent choking. It seems there was a staggering number of people choking to death after accidentally swallowing the lids. Simply by enlarging the hole, it is possible to keep air flowing to the lungs if swallowed. This simple yet brilliant solution has helped decrease the number of choking deaths annually. So go ahead and play that tiny instrument while you're daydreaming at work. If you accidentally inhale it, it might give you enough oxygen until you get to the emergency room. Number 9. Hole in pen. So we may know the reason for the hole in the top of the pen lid, but what about that small hole in the pen near the ink head? That tiny hole is a vacuum that regulates air pressure to keep ink flowing at the proper levels. Without it, all the ink might run out at the same time, causing a permanent mess on everything it invades. Thank a nerd for this one. It's kind of amazing that something as simple as a tiny hole in an ink pen is a vacuum that regulates pressure. I'm picturing a complex apparatus that keeps us alive while diving underwater or something. Instead of heavy dive equipment, the same, sort of, is achieved with just a tiny hole. Thanks, ink pen manufacturers, for saving my work and clothing from ink overflow catastrophes. Number 8. Jeans rivets. We are so used to having rivets on our jeans that we associate them with style and fashion. But you may not know that they were originally designed for a specific purpose. Rivets were added to jeans as a reinforcement to strategic locations, mainly pockets and zipper areas, to reduce rips and tears. During the gold rush, a tailor named Jacob W. Davis was asked to custom make a pair of pants that could hold up to a rugged work environment. Davis used to purchase denim fabric from Levi Strauss & Company. The two became partners after Davis asked the Levi's people about patenting his new sturdy pants that had become wildly popular. The rest became history, and rivets are still a deeply seated part of American clothing culture. I can't imagine a single week going by without wearing a pair of jeans. And I can't imagine how they'd look without the signature rivets. Number 7. Too much toothpaste. This might not exactly be an everyday thing you didn't know its use for, but I don't like waste. Moreover, I don't like when advertising is so convincing that they have you use too much toothpaste from a commercial that they've drilled into our brains. For the record, no one needs a long band of toothpaste stripped across your entire toothbrush to get your teeth clean. It's advertising at its best, and they are laughing all the way to the bank at our expense. It takes a small fraction of toothpaste to keep your pearly whites sparkling clean. That all seems to have started with an old whitening polish commercial where the pretty woman licked her lips and smiled wildly after using gobs of toothpaste on her toothbrush. The fact is, dentists have seen a steady increase of tooth enamel discoloration, damage, and sensitivity due to using too much toothpaste. The abrasive material in toothpaste actually damages our teeth. So slowly back away from the tube. Dab on that small pea-size amount that is actually recommended, and stop falling for the commercials that only want to sell you 20 times more toothpaste than you need. Number 6. Small hole in camera on iPhone. Many people have probably seen the little hole next to the camera on the iPhones. If you haven't noticed, take a look because it's been on every model since the 5 was released. We see it, but we most likely don't have a clue what it's for. Okay, all you techies out there probably know, but the rest of us layman phone addict junkies might not. So mystery solved. That little black hole is actually a tiny microphone. No, it's not picking up your voice during calls, so don't start turning your head upside down when you speak. It is a noise cancellation microphone. Cool, right? Well, it is actually. Ever wonder how the heck your friends can hear you talking while you're in a really loud environment? It's the technical magic of that tiny microphone hiding under that tiny hole. It is somehow able to detect the loud noises around you and reduce them drastically so the caller can hear your voice clearly. Supposedly, it's also the mic that picks up your voice clearly during video recordings. See, I told you it was cool. Number 5. Epson Salt uses. Epsom salt is basically the mineral magnesium. It's a great home remedy for a myriad of ailments. Okay, I'm not that old just because I'm talking about Epsom salt. I happen to know it's great to use for sore muscles after exercise. I did not know it had so many other uses, so I'm throwing it in. We can add it to bath water to soothe sore muscles. Soak a splinter out of our finger. Take it orally at bedtime to help make us sleep better. One can take it to help relax, how shall I say, our bowels. Okay, so it helps makes us regular, if you know what I mean. Just look at the main ingredients in that blue and white milky stuff people drink when they're backed up. It's a whole lot cheaper to buy the capsules at the drugstore than buying that name brand stuff. People are actually using it in hair products to add volume. But user beware, it is salt. It will build up and you will have to wash it out or you won't be able to get a brush through your mane. Just picture your last visit to the beach and how your hair felt after a day in the ocean. Other uses beyond the obvious body scrub, the exfoliant action, it is supposed to ease headaches by soaking in a salt bath. Your body, not your skull. It also eases sunburns and even keeps slugs out of your yard, among other things. A big bag of the stuff is so cheap that some of these might be worth a try. Number 4. Car headrest. We all know that the headrest in a car is for, well, resting your heads. Really, it's for protecting our melons in the unfortunate incident of a car crash. But did you know that it also has an awesome dual purpose? Pull that awkwardly positioned headrest out of the cradle and you now have the most important tool you'll ever need if you find yourself submerged in water in your vehicle. Please do not try this on purpose. Just know that if you happen to plunge your car into a large body of water and are sinking, you can jam the metal spike on the headrest in between the door panel and the window. Push the metal outward against the glass, and it should break. I love knowing this. I keep thinking I need to buy one of those metal spike puncture tools, just in case. Now, I can't help you remember this tip in the heat of the moment, but if you're good under pressure, it just might save your life. Number 3. Hole in airplane window. Okay, this nugget's sort of going around lately, so if you already know it, bear with me while I share it with the rest of us. I did not know this gem until recently, and I'm fascinated with it, so I'm sharing. First of all, anything called a bleed hole in an airplane makes my eyebrows shoot up, if you know what I mean. I'm talking about that little hole in the airplane windows. It acts as sort of a pressure regulator. Hey, did that ink pen nerd also work for NASA? I'd say that engineer's getting around with his technology. Well, the bleed hole helps relieve pressure between the 3 window panes as an aircraft climbs to higher altitudes. The air is thinner way up there, and that tiny hole keeps us from fainting or suffocating. Too little or too much oxygen, as the bleed hole regulates that air pressure. To picture thinner air at higher altitudes, it's like growing up at sea level, then taking a trip to Colorado, the mile-high city. You might be uber tired all the time and actually need to take a nap in the afternoons. I think that's one of the reasons the Denver Broncos play so well in other football stadiums. Their lungs are used to really thin air. They do more with less oxygen than their sea level opponents. I'm not a big fan, I'm just saying. But fear not, those bleed holes are completely necessary to make sure we all survive the flight. In terms of air pressure, anyway. The rest is sort of up to the pilot, mechanics, flocks of birds nearby, etc. Have a good flight. Number 2. Arrow on gas gauge. Okay, I have to admit, I have been told what the arrow on the gas gauge is for, probably more than once. But take it from someone who would have appreciated the reminder prior to filling up a rental car, this tip is worth the reminder. I wish I would have remembered that the tiny arrow on the gas gauge behind the steering wheel tells us what side of the car the gas tank is located on. It is a super simple yet very helpful tool. When we remember while we are filling up an unfamiliar vehicle. Look for this handy arrow the next time you're behind the wheel. Better yet, share it with your friends when they're in your car. I bet most of them don't know about it, and you'll look like a nerdy yet cool genius. Number 1. Tape measure hole. Here's one that might measure up. Oh, the humor. Who knows what the hole in the metal end piece of a tape measure is for? I didn't, and I happen to be pretty handy. Okay, let's move on. That little hole is there to help us measure distances when we don't have another set of hands or feet available to hold the tape in place. Its function is to hold the whole up to something at your beginning point and tap a nail through it into whatever surface is available. I do not suggest you do this when measuring a nice piece of wood furniture, but you get the idea. Construction sites, for example, usually have plenty of rough wood available, so this handy feature is an excellent job site assistant. Have you ever gotten an estimate for construction work? They usually estimate up to 10% overage for wasted materials. There's an old saying, measure twice, cut once. If more people use that handy little metal assistant more often, there might be less swearing and less wasted material on a construction site.